setbacks are being proposed. The minimum side setbacks in most residential districts are currently 10 feet, with the exception of 5 feet on a garage that is attached. Staff recommends the 5-foot setback be approved as a PUD condition. The second one is proposed sidewalks on one side only of residential streets in certain designated areas, intermixed with trails in other designated areas. Ordinance 151-109-30 calls for concrete sidewalks 4 inches thick and 4 feet wide in most residential areas. In addition, it asks that sidewalks be installed prior to installation of the bituminous wear course and that the developer notify all lot purchasers of sidewalk construction plans. The mix of proposed trails would eventually extend throughout the development and potentially connect to adjacent existing trails to provide safer walking routes with more flexibility for biking, etc. The city administrator is recommending approval of the proposed sidewalk and trail plan combination. And finally, an apartment complex is being proposed in the Towering Bluffs development. Due to being in the preliminary stages of planning, details on the design are currently not available, but would be available at or before the final plat for council consideration. And Bill, do you want to take the engineering side?
Yes. Acting Mayor Council, I do have, I thought what we would do is I wanted to highlight a few items from our review letter. And then, when we had the Planning Commission, we actually, pulled up Google Earth. We looked at the plat, looked at some plans. So depending on how your questions go, I'll start here, then I'll migrate to the podium if need be. So,
That's fine.
okay, so if you refer to your engineering letter in your packet, these items to talk about are just, again, point out. So item number 2, and that's concerning a general development plan. So this project has been around for a long time. But in February 2003, due to the size of this development, it's a mandatory that an environmental assessment worksheet is completed. So that was completed. That was approved by the council. So that still stands to this day because this subdivision has not really changed significantly from then. So that environmental assessment worksheet is still valid. Okay, so I just wanted to draw that to your attention. Second I want to draw your attention is item number 4, and that is we are not the only entity with review authority on this. So Goodhue County, because they're adjacent or they abut the plat, and then access will occur off of Goodhue County Road 25. They also have approval authority as well. So we have been in correspondence with the county engineer. Mr. Jablonski has as well, but we just wanted to highlight that there will also be approval needed from the county. Next one I wanted to mention, item number 5, is concerning grading and tree removal. So the water tower site, it's kind of right in the middle of this plat area. The developer is proposing to grade onto that site. So that would be, as Diane mentioned, we're going to have several items that would be either in the CUP or in the development agreement itself. So this would be one of those items. We have discussed this with Public Works staff, and we believe actually by grading onto the city site, it'll actually probably blend that area in and make it look a little better. So, but again, just wanted to note that. Diane did mention, I'm moving to item number 7. Diane mentioned the sidewalks, of which, Neil and Diane and I met with the developer. The developer, wanted to propose an alternate item. So we thought the connection to Limestone, that's the road to the northwest of the subdivision that ends there. We thought it was important that a connection be established from Limestone to this potential future apartment complex, then back in the development. So it was and then also we thought a trail, and the developer thought so as well, Mr. Jablonski, that if we could get a trail from County Road 25 all the way to 19, basically Lincoln 25 to the school, that would really be a big benefit to this development in the city. So as a compromise there, sidewalk is being proposed on not all the streets, the longer cul-de-sac and shorter cul-de-sac would not, but they would link Limestone, the apartments, and the main road. And then there would be this trail that would link through the development as well. So this is technically an administrator item, but I like the idea. I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good compromise. The developer's offering some additional items, and I think will help with walkability and the concept of complete streets where we're addressing, various ways or multimodal ways for transportation. Last couple items I wanted to highlight, moving down to item number 11. So those of you that have been up there, the development to the west, Limestone Road and High Point, both those roads just end abruptly. There's no turnaround. Actually, on Limestone, there is a turnaround, but it's actually into a property owner's yard. And actually, that property owner was at the meeting just to ask questions. And these roads will not go through. That was originally proposed back in 2003 and is now. But we wanted to preserve the ability if the city would probably not build a cul-de-sac, but maybe a T turnaround or something. So the developer has offered to provide a 100 by 100 foot, in essence, square at each end, so that the city in the future, this really is not the developer's issue. This is probably really the city's issue from, when this was platted many, many years ago, but at least gives us options and some flexibility. So we thought that was, again, a reasonable compromise with the developer and the city. Then second to last one, item number 13, there's an existing, if you guys know where John Altoff lives, there's another home there just to the south. That's not shown in the platting documents, but ultimately our understanding from Mr. Jablonski is that property will go away in the future phase. And then really wanted to just make sure that's shown, but also, with Spring Garden Road is really, I think what we called it a goat trail in our meeting. So really the city, we have to figure out what we're going to do with that. Now we have some time because it's really not impacted to the next round of platting, but we think we have to figure out, are we going to improve that road, or is that really going to turn into a driveway for the Altoff property, which is probably where it's going to end up. Again, that's not needed for a decision tonight, but we thought it was a good thing to bring that up and basically note of that, so we're, future councils and staff that we're working towards a solution on that one. And then last one is, actually this was not something I mentioned at the planning commission, but a resident brought up is, the area to the south, has, that subdivision has failed, bad soils, they've had problems. So they had asked, what are we going to do to do differently? And item number 14 is, we do require a geotechnical report, so basically a soils analysis. It'll be completed. Now, ultimately, it is, the developer's responsibility to build the roads, et cetera, to the city standards, but it's also our job to make sure, that, that this project will succeed. So, yep, correct. So we don't have the undulations in the road. So that is something that's typically, I shouldn't say typically, that's not required to the final plat, but we wanted to bring that up early on just because over the last couple of years we've had discussions about the poor soils, and sandstone and stuff to the south. So with those items, those are all the engineering items. We'll have other more detailed specific items in the final plat, but engineering is recommending approval on the preliminary plat contingent upon these items being addressed, and then obviously the items that Diane mentioned as well.
Mm-hmm. And we discussed this all at the planning commission too. So
yeah, we're given the short version. So
yeah, yep.
So the house by John, that's the old Schweig property.
Yep. That's where
It's going to be okay. Yeah, I know.
Steve.
Yeah.
Anybody have any questions? The developer's sitting back there.
Well, I guess I would ask, Greg, when would you wish to start on this project?
I think we'll probably go first thing in the spring. Probably start with some clearing and let other people know that we're going forward with it. So it'd be just that first 22 lots.
Okay, yeah, I only ask because I know you've
Only
come
been 20
forward before.
Well, it's only been 20 years.
Yeah, I know.
We're getting to it.
You're getting to it. Okay, but that's
Hopefully there's no other real estate depressions that occur.
well, that's
So,
what we all hope.
And the kindness of Mr. Altoff is probably how this got restarted, because one day John called me and says, "Hey, what are you doing with that farm?" I said, "Boy, I haven't got any idea, just farming it." So we had meetings, and I think the opportunities are good right now. Housing seems to have settled. It's just been it seems like with the depression, then we go on to the recent pricing and costs and everything now I hope is very normal. So I think it's a good time to go forward.
Okay. Good.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
I did want to mention, my goal is to create not apartments, but senior housing too. And this kind of comes from a project that I saw in another state, Florida. And you had the villas, which are basically retirement residences. And then you have senior housing, which is basically rental and residences for folks. And then you do have assisted living. So hopefully that would be, of course, someone else's project. It would not be involved in that. There are people that really specialize in that, and hopefully we get somebody interested in that. I think it'd be a really nice project, the way it's set in the woods and stuff.
And I saw, yeah, I mentioned a apartment. What size apartment are we?
Well, I think every apartment today is huge. I mean, they just are gonna be
So similar
large
in
units.
size to what Keller Bartman's doing on the south end of town, or?
I don't know, how big is, I mean, we're talking buildings today are 100, 200 units. I mean, it's wherever you go, they're just huge. And, I'm familiar with another senior housing in Grand Rapids, and those buildings, they just get bigger and bigger all the time. And so I think for them to, and that's what's nice about this, it's kind of a cluster development, so we have all kinds of land there, and so we just take one little parcel and leave all the woods alone, and so I think that's the benefit here, so to get the large buildings and make it financially work for everybody is the thing. So I think it'll be really good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We got enough preliminary things going on in town. I just can't wait to see some shovels start turning over and get some of the stuff going.
Yeah.
Is there any other discussion? Otherwise, I'm going to make a motion to approve Resolution 2665, approve the rezone and preliminary plat for Towering Bluffs.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Gesme, second by Lundell to approve Resolution 2665. Is there any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Duncan.
Aye.
Gesme.
Aye.
Cronenberger.
Aye.
Lundell.
Aye.
Montgomery.
Aye.
Altoff is absent.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, that's all we have for business tonight. I think we'll go on with reports. Planning Commission. The only thing we discussed at the Planning Commission was this preliminary plat that we just approved. So that's all taken care of. That was it, right?
That was it.
Yeah. So we'll go right on to Dan. Do you have anything?
Other than getting ready for the next snowfall, wanted to just let everybody know that the wood grinding is just about wrapped up. I don't know if anybody's been down at the wood yard, but the precision landscape is just about done.
Yep,
They figured one more good day of grinding, so.
Good.
Yep.
Yeah, Bill?
Nothing additional, thank you.
Ann?
I just want to wish everyone happy holidays.
Oh, yes, thank you. Laura?
The EDA did close on the property on the 300 East Minnesota. We did transfer that over to the Housing Initiative last week. So that is now taken care of. So in the fall of 23, the construction students will break ground on that property.
Thank you. Chief?
So the next few days are going to be interesting as far as weather. It's going to be extremely cold, extremely windy. Public Works will let us know when they're going to be doing snow removal. So in order to try to get that notice out to residents through Facebook and other social media. But just a reminder, when there's enough snow that you think your streets are going to get plowed, would be a good time not to park on the streets. Also, during this time, if you've got neighbors that are elderly or others needs, maybe just check in on them, make sure that everything's going good, their furnace didn't go out or something like that. I know typically we try to keep the officers off of 52, but during these types of severe cold, they will be checking in on a pretty regular basis just to ensure we don't have a motorist whose car is broken down and they're stranded out there. That's not a night or day to walk a mile to get somewhere to get help. So just some of those things to think about as we go into what they're saying is going to be a pretty significant blizzard.
Thanks, Jeff. Shelley?
Nothing from my office, thank you.
Thank you. Sarah? Neil?
Just want to thank the exiting council and mayor. Been my pleasure to serve with you guys. I welcome the new council people coming in next meeting, and hope we have a good 23 and more plats coming in, and et cetera, and happy holidays.
Here. Laura?
Good.
Bill?
Tonight is my last meeting, and I've been involved on the council a long time. I know when I first got on, I was at a League of Minnesota Cities newly elected officials conference, and the one thing that stood out there was when a gentleman said, "Congratulations, you've been sworn in to be sworn at." And boy, is that right on. I had considered running again, but as a lot of you know, I was taking care of Mary Jill, so I elected not to do that. And of course, she passed away on Thanksgiving. You've got a good staff here. It's been a pleasure to work with them. Mostly good council members. Sorry, Steve. And it's been a pleasure to serve the community, and I thank the community for they kept voting me in. So with that, I just wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you.
Bill? Derek?
I believe I only swore at Bill once, so that's not too bad. 4 years. I just want to, Bill, Steve, John's not here. But yeah, it was great working with you guys over the years, and hope to see you guys around, giving me advice if I need it. That's all.
Okay, I just want to say, John, Matt.
Apologies for not being there. I have dealing with COVID for the first time, so made it almost 3 years. So hopefully back to normal as soon as possible. Bill, I want to say thank you for your years of service. I think that there were times that we didn't agree, but I think we were always respectful of each other, and I think that is key for the council, for the department heads. I think there was a respect there, even when you disagree. So I really appreciate everything that you've done for the community. Also to the mayor, almost the exact same thing. A lot of respect there. Thank you for the years of service. Hope that we see you there for the swearing in at the beginning of 2023. With that, it is a formality. I do have to submit my resignation as a council member. Can't hold two offices at the same time. So I will submit my resignation as a council member, and it will take effect prior to the next city council meeting. And then we will have the swearing in for mayor. So thank you, everybody. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. And stay safe.
Thanks, Matt. I just want to say on behalf of Mayor John Eltoff, who wasn't here tonight, he wishes to thank the public for allowing him to serve Cannon Falls, both as a councilman and a mayor. And he really wishes he could have been here to address the public. On my behalf, I'd just also like to thank the public for putting up with me. It hasn't always been fun, but I would not trade it for the world. It was just eye-opening. The staff that I've worked with, you guys are over the top. The council, like Matt said, sometimes we looked at each other funny, but we seemed to come to a conclusion. But when I came in, and I don't know if you all know Aaron Sorkin, but I quote Aaron Sorkin, you come blowing in here thinking you're going to make a square out of a circle, and you realize maybe the circle was okay. So, that's all I have. Otherwise, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Duncan, second by Lundell to adjourn. Any further discussion? All in favor, roll call.
Quick. Duncan. Gesme.
Aye.
Cronenberger.
Hey.
Lundell.
Aye.
Montgomery.
Hey.
Altoff is absent.
Motion carries.